Hi, I'm Dr. Gutierrez, and we're going to talk really quickly about how to use direct and indirect object pronouns in Spanish using the two of them together. I'll start by reviewing the definitions of direct and indirect objects, and I'll review their forms. Then I'll talk quickly about the order they appear and where they appear in a sentence. And then we'll go through some specific examples. The first one will just be rewrite the sentences using direct or direct and indirect objects and their pronouns. And then the second one will be how to work a question and answer sort of format. Definition of a direct object: who or what is being verbed. If I'm throwing a ball, who or what is being thrown, it's the ball. Now I could also say, if we've been having a conversation about throwing the ball, I could say, yeah, I threw it yesterday. I threw it. So there I've replaced the ball with a pronoun it. In Spanish, we have a couple more choices for pronouns than we do in English. Me, te, lo, la, nos, os, los, las. So the me, te, nos, os people generally don't have problems with. The third person row, though, you're just going to look at what the direct object is and decide if it's masculine or feminine and singular or plural. That's all there is to it. So if I'm throwing a tennis ball, it would be la pelota. I would choose la for I threw it. I would use la. If I'm throwing a soccer ball to a goalie, I would say I threw it. But in Spanish, it's going to be a different word. We're going to use lo for it there because it's el balón. Let's look at definitions for indirect object pronouns. This will work, I don't know, 85% of the time. Who or what is receiving the benefit of the verbing? So if I'm throwing a soccer ball to a goalie, who or what is being thrown, the direct object is still the ball. Who or what is receiving the benefit of the throwing of the ball, that's going to be the goalie. So my choices for the pronouns there to say I threw it to him or her would be me, te, le, nos, os, les. Now I've included se here. We're going to see that sometimes the le sort of wears a Halloween costume, but it's still an indirect object pronoun. So you'll see that in just a minute. Quick word on the order things appear in. You've already learned about reflexive pronouns. If any of the two of these three appear, they're going to appear in this order: reflexive, then indirect, then direct. So you can stack them up. For this video, all we're going to be worried about is the indirect and direct. So whenever the pronouns appear, they appear in that order. Let's go ahead and look at some specific examples. La profesora da una buena nota. Who or what is being given a good grade. A good grade is singular and feminine. So if I want to say she, the professor, gives it, I'm going to use la. Ella la da. She gives it, referring to the nota. So if we're, like I said, if we're having a conversation and we don't want to keep saying la buena nota, here's how we get around it. Let's take a look at how I would work in an indirect object and its pronoun. I would say la profesora me da, sorry, da is in there twice, me da una buena nota a mí. Now this is different from English. In Spanish, you'll often see an indirect object pronoun, a mí, that's paired with the me. So you'll see these two things together. The me plus a mí, or le plus a Pepe, or nos plus a nosotros. It's not required usually unless there's some confusion about what the pronoun might mean. If I did it with me, I would just be emphasizing that it's I'm getting the grade, not him, not her. So typically, you'll often see them with just the me. Let me make something clear. If you write in an a plus indirect object phrase, like the one in yellow here, a mí, you must include the me. The reverse is not true. You can use just the me without including a mí. Let's go ahead and look at an example of these two things combined together. Ella me la da. She gives it to me. So I'm in a conversation about the good grade and who's going to get it. And I'm just saying she's going to give it to me. Me comes first because it's indirect. La comes second, the direct, and both of them are before a conjugated verb. Okay? Let's look at example number 2. Marisa, and that says escribir una carta a sus sobrinas. Oops, wrong button. Let's try that again. So the sentence would be Marisa escribe una carta, where the letter is who or what is being written. So if I wanted to use a pronoun and say she writes it, ella la escribe. Carta is singular and feminine. What if I want to roll in my indirect object pronoun and my indirect object, which is her sobrinas, her nieces? I would write a sentence that looks like this. Marisa les escribe la carta a sus sobrinas. With le and les, it's more common to have the a plus direct object because it can mean so many different things. It's not as specific as me or te, nos, or os. But once I know that les refers to the two sobrinas, I can quit including that clarifying phrase. So if I wanted to use the double object pronouns, it would be ella les la escribe. Oh, but wait. There's a problem here. I have an L and an L. So whenever you get that double sound where it's two third persons together, you're not going to use le or les there. You're only going to use the se. So ella se la escribe. The se is still an indirect object pronoun. It just doesn't look quite the same. The reasons for this go all the way back to when Spanish was migrating its way over from Latin. So I won't tell you what they are, but there is a good reason for it. One more example. Let's start looking, actually 2 more examples. Let's look at what you do if there is a question. So the question here is, ¿le da el comité el premio al libro? Couple things I want you to remember. First, you'll notice that the committee, which is the subject, comes after the verb in a question. And yes, I know this is enough to really mess with our English-speaking heads. In Spanish, inversion in questions is common. Here I have my direct object pronoun, my direct object, el premio, and I have my indirect object, el libro, doubled with the indirect object pronoun, le. If I want to answer this question, just using the pronoun, the direct object pronoun, I could say si lo da. Yes, it, the committee gives it the premio. If I want to wrap in that indirect object pronoun, then the answer is going to look like this. Si se lo da al libro. So what would be a le is changed to a se. Okay? Remember, if I'm going to have lelo, lela, les, los, les, las, whatever of those LL, I'm going to change the first one to se. By this point in the conversation, we're probably pretty sure that the le or the se is referring to the book, so it would actually be very normal to drop that clarifying phrase at this point and just say, si se lo da. Yes, it gives it to it. Wow, that sounds really strange in English, but it makes perfect sense in Spanish. Again, the se that's standing in for a le comes first, direct object pronoun comes second, and they both come before a conjugated verb. Let's look at another question. ¿Me compras el pasaje? So this is Ernesto, who's the guy behind the desk, talking to his girlfriend or his wife, Maria. And he's saying, will you buy me the ticket to fly somewhere? Direct object obviously is el pasaje. Indirect object, who or what is receiving the benefit of the buying of the ticket? Ernesto is. So he's saying, I would receive that. So it's going to be me. Let's look at Maria's 2 possible answers. Answer number 1, no te lo compro. I'm not buying it for you. But keep in mind in Spanish, it's no, I'm not. No, you, it, I buy. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So we're going to put the object pronouns before the verb. We're going to put the indirect and then direct. But notice that there's a couple of things that changed here. So this is the trick. In this case, because it's an interpersonal conversation and Ernesto and Maria are talking to one another, the compras in the question, will you buy, in the answer comes out as, no, I won't buy. So the subject of the verb changes. Will you buy a ticket? No, I won't buy the ticket. The second thing that changes is that indirect object pronoun. Ernesto is saying, will you buy me? The answer is no, I will not buy you a ticket. So they're both gonna shift. The direct object still stays the direct object, so it has less variability than the other options. Maria also might say yes, sí, te lo compro, yes, I will buy it for you. Te, indirect, lo, direct, compro, I buy. All right. There's one other example I just wanted to mention. What if we're talking about commands? Maria, ¿le compras el pasaje a tu papá? So, will you buy the ticket for your dad? Ernesto's potential answers, no, no se lo compro, no, I won't buy it for him. Maria, let's say she's arguing back. She said, no, 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 buy it for him. Buy it, the ticket, for him, your dad. So now she's using a tu command, which is compra. With commands, it is fine to attach object pronouns directly to the end of the command, as long as you remember to put an accent where it needs to go. This is also true for infinitives. So if she were saying, I will buy it for him, then it could be, or if Ernesto were saying that, he could say, voy a comprar, infinitive, comprárselo. I'm going to buy it for him, for dad. So that is a quick lesson on how these double object pronouns work together. I hope that answers some of your questions, and best of luck.